Hello everyone, welcome to my presentation of the components of linguistics and their role in English as a foreign language teaching. My name is Alison Mendez, and today we'll explore how understanding of linguistics can help us become better EFL teacher. Linguistics is essentially the science of language. As EFL teacher, understanding the structure of language, its rules, sounds, and meaning can help us break it down for our students. This is especially crucial for non-native speakers who often struggle with unfamiliar aspects of English. Syntax focuses on how words are arranged for meaningful sentence. For instance, in English, word order matters greatly. Compare. She's reading a book with a book as is she reading. By teaching syntax, we help the students construct clear and correct sentence. Syntax help us organize words, just like we organize puzzle pieces. For example, the sentence "to the park when the children happily" sounds awkward because the pieces are misplaced. Rereading into the children when happily to the park made this clear and natural. Let's see, this is a short video.
Syntax. Let's take these two sentences. Time flies like an arrow means that the concept of time is fast, like an arrow is fast. Fruit flies like a banana means that these small insects are fond of fruit. Both of these sentences have flies and like in them, but these words have different structural relationships with the rest of the sentence. In this first tree, flies is the verb and like is a preposition. In this second tree, flies is part of the noun phrase and like is the verb. We can represent that difference by drawing diagrams. Don't stress about the triangles. Linguists use triangles within a tree to save space and represent constituents that are not the focus of what we're talking about. But we can see how these shared words occupy different parts of each tree.
Okay, next is phonetics. It's about how we produce and perceive speech sounds. For example, the TH sounds in this and thing require specific tongue placement. By teaching phonetics, we can guide students to correctly pronounce challenging sounds. A common challenge of the EFL learners is distinguish words like sheep and sheep, which differ only in the length of the vowel. Practicing this subtle difference can significantly improve pronunciation. Let's see this video.
Some of the most common sounds in languages across the world. P, T, and K. Try making these yourself and pay attention to what your mouth is doing. P, T, K. These sounds all require you to close off part of the vocal tract to make air stop before you let it explode out, which is why they're known as stops or plosives. These three sounds are made at three different spots in the vocal tract, which linguists call places of articulation. We often name these places according to the parts of the vocal tract used to make the sound.
Okay, continue with the next. It is phonology. Phonology also teaches us how stress and rhythm influence spoken English. For instance, in the word photograph, the stress is on the first syllable, but in photographic, the stress shifts, and the first vowel reduced to a schwa sound. Similarly, in natural speech, we often simplify phrases like "What are you going to do?" into "What you gonna do?" Understanding of these patterns help learners improve their listening and speaking English. Morphology focuses on how words are formed. For instance, adding the suffix er to teach create the word teacher. By teaching morphology, we empower students to expand their vocabulary and recognize patterns in unfamiliar words. So, morphology is like taking apart Lego bricks to see how the pieces fit together. For instance, in unhappiness, the prefix an makes it negative, and the suffix ness turns into a noun. Teaching this helps students decode unfamiliar words. Continue. Also, you have to see
Visualize
this video.
morphemes as fitting together like the parts of a plant. In this metaphor, the most central part of a word is the root, and the other morphemes that are stuck or fixed onto it are affixes. So rabbits is made from the root rabbit and the affix s, since the s affix in rabbits comes after the root, we can call it a suffix. If the word has an affix stuck on before the root, it's called a prefix. To extend our plant metaphor, when we add a morpheme to the root, this new unit becomes the stem for the next morpheme.
Okay, continue with semantics. Semantics deal with meaning. For example, the word duck could refer to a beard of the or the action of lowering your head. By teaching semantics, we help learners interpret language accurately and avoid confusion. So, semantic is all about meaning. For example, the sentence flying planes can be dangerous could mean the act of flying is dangerous or that the planes themselves are unsafe. Clarifying such ambiguities helps students avoid misunderstanding.
Example, several words can have about the same definition. They're synonyms, like happy and glad and joyful. Two words can also have the opposite definition. They're antonyms, like inside and outside.
Okay, continue with pragmatics. Pragmatics focuses on language use in context. For example, can you pass the salt? Is usually a polite request, not a literally question about ability. Pragmatic knowledge helps learners navigate social norms and communicate it effectively. So, for example, can you open the window with a polite request, not an inquiry about ability? Understanding these subtle cues is essential for effective communication, especially across the cultures.
Sometimes we don't say exactly what we mean, and yet we still manage to understand each other. If you ask, is it raining, when I come inside soaking wet, and I say, great job, Sherlock, you'll probably assume that I'm being sarcastic rather than giving you a compliment. Or if you ask me, can you close the window? I'll probably interpret your question as a polite request rather than a question about my physical ability. The reason we can figure out what's going on is because we don't just look at words and sentences for meaning. We also look at context. The area of linguistics that puts meaning into context is called pragmatics.
Each linguistic component contributes uniquely to EFL teaching. Phonetics and phonology refine pronunciation, syntax improve sentence structure, and pragmatic ensure socially appropriate communication. Together, they provide a solid foundation for language learning. In conclusion, linguistics equip us with the tools to teach language effectively. By understanding this concept, we can help our students overcome challenges and achieve fluency. Okay, that is all. Thank you so much. This is some bibliographic reference. Bye.